If you were to fight Deontay Wilder, what would your game plan be?
Well, I'm a different fighter. I'm a pugilist specialist, so to box Deontay would be a great fight for me because he's one-dimensional. I'd rather fight him than Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury gives you all kinds of different looks, and he would have to get me thinking a little bit more.
Those are the words of Lennox Lewis. Big up England, big up. Lennox Lewis was asked what would he do with, or how would he fight Deontay Wilder and what would be the outcome. And he, of course, said, hey, that would be a great fight for me. And, you know, he is a masterful pugilist, right? Which, me counterpunching Lennox Lewis, the way he explained it was very nicely put, okay? And it also shows that Lennox Lewis has utmost respect for Deontay Wilder. And it also shows that you can say something in certain ways that does not come off offensive or negative. It just depends on how you dress it up. The words and the choice of words, rather, that you can use are the key. And the key was how Lennox Lewis said it. But basically, this is what Lennox Lewis said. Lennox Lewis said that beating Deontay Wilder would be easy. Okay? He disguised it as, it would be a great fight for me. You see how he dressed that up? It was very, very clever. Okay? And also, he said that Deontay Wilder is limited, right? And based on the words that he used, though, you know, he is not a all-around good fighter. Listen.
A great fight for me because he's one-dimensional.
He said one-dimensional. Now, one-dimensional is not necessarily a bad thing, but it ain't a good thing either. You know, but he stopped at that. He said, well, Deontay Wilder's one-dimensional. You know, and he made a lot of sense. There is more to it.
Kinds of different looks, and he would have to get me thinking a little bit more. So Deontay, I would probably go towards and try and hit him to the body because you know, he would be taller than me, and I would think I would be a more of an effective body puncher against him. Jump in.
So he said he would work the body of Deontay Wilder, and you know, he said he would be an effective body puncher against Wilder. Now, if I was going to pick between Lennox Lewis and Deontay Wilder, I would definitely pick Lewis. But that doesn't mean Wilder don't have a shot. It just means that the shot that he has is very slim. Why? Because at times, according to his last 42, 43 fights, he was one-dimensional. Okay, I said his last 42 or 43 fights because we don't know what's yet to come with the tutelage of Malik Scott. Okay, so that's why I'm saying it like that, because that's exactly how it is. Because we don't know. I mean, Deontay Wilder could show us a lot. He could show us just as much as Anthony Joshua learned to box and move and to use the squared circle against Andy Ruiz. So we'll see. Right? Now, as far as Lennox Lewis and Deontay Wilder, back to them, those guys, I think Lennox Lewis has better combinations. I know he's a better boxer. He's probably one of the best that ever came out of the UK, hands down. He had the best of both worlds. He had speed, he had power, and he wasn't a small heavyweight. In fact, he was one of the biggest ones. He was like 6'4", 6'5". And fighting a guy like that, you're dealing with all the problems that you could actually ever have from a heavyweight. And he's a combination of all the good things. He's big, he's tall, he has great reach, he has good power, and he has speed and badass ring IQ. So he's been there, done that, knows about this, knows about that, loves to mix it up at times. He can knock you out, you know, using combinations or one straight shot or one good combination. So I would say Wilder would be in a whole lot of danger with Lennox Lewis. But here's the thing. Deontay Wilder holds his own danger when fighting Lennox Lewis because he could hit Lennox Lewis just like Hasim Rahman did. And what did Lewis get hit with by Hasim Rahman in their first fight? A straight right. Who gives a massive badass straight right? Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. So, it could happen. Okay, and then one thing about Wilder, understand he needs space. You want to get knocked out by Deontay Wilder? Give him space. Give him room to hit you with that right hand. That's all he needs. He's long, he's tall, he's rangy, he's powerful, but he needs space. If you fight him close, he doesn't have that space to get off. Okay? Why do you think that's what Lennox Lewis mentioned? He said, no, I would go to his body. I would take it to him and go to his body. And basically, you would close the distance to keep him from having the advantage of throwing that right hand because everything else is not tested. Again, I don't know how Wilder would look in his next fight because it hasn't happened yet. I do know he's training like the Dickens. So we'll see if he does or is he able to implement those combinations. Guys with long arms, though, they're not really even tailor-made to fight on the inside. That's not how they're built. They're built to stay on the outside and use their height and use their reach. Okay? Work with nature, not against it. Okay, and then in Wilder's case, he would be working against it if he was trying to fight someone like that with beautiful combinations. But understand, Lennox Lewis is a guy that he also he's a range-finding type of guy too. He is effective, from a distance, so he can reach out and touch you. Look at David Tua and himself, Lennox Lewis. He kept David Tua back with jabs and right hands, and each time Tua tried to throw that left hook, he punished him with a strong right solid hand. Okay, and it rocked and knocked up David Tua just a bit to keep him back and keep him honest and give respect to Lennox Lewis because Lennox Lewis was coming with the pain. Okay, now. Deontay Wilder did get caught with body shots. So a body assault would be one of the things you could do, even though in the past when people hit him to the body, like Chris Arreola, Luis Ortiz, he didn't really tend to be that hurt. He's just so wiry and it's kind of hard to hit someone like that. But if you hit anyone right, you can put them down with a body shot. Okay, because Wilder is a lean guy, and if he does get hit to the body, just like Tyson Fury assaulted him, he can be hurt to the body and possibly can be stopped to the body. So Lennox Lewis, again, is going to the body, but there's also the counterpunch. You're going to the body, and he's mentioning body assaults to someone like Wilder. When you're fighting and you're punching to the body, you're doing what? Punching downstairs. But what is that leaving open? This here. So if Wilder could learn to be a good counterpuncher, he could be in trouble trying to go to the body. You can ask a vast amount of fighters that try to go to the body and ended up getting caught upstairs. At Floyd Mayweather against Zab Judah. Okay, those type of fights had happened as any of the Mickey Wad fights when he was trying to go to the body and got countered upstairs, right? When he fought Zab Judah. These type of fights that could happen. However, based on what Lennox Lewis's perception of Deontay Wilder was, he was one-dimensional. So he hasn't really showed us that he can do that just yet. So I'm just speculating. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Lennox Lewis explaining how he would beat Deontay Wilder. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.